We're here with Alistair McLean, Chief Executive of the Fundraising Standards Board. Alistair, tell me more about the work of the Fundraising Standards Board, what its objectives are and what it has achieved.
Well, Howard, the Fundraising Standards Board was set up about 18 months ago. We started from absolute scratch in terms of trying to establish a business that self-regulated fundraising in the UK, and with some seed capital from the government, also from the Scottish Assembly, and more recently we've got a grant from the Welsh office to help us with setting up an office down there. We began the process of designing what the FRSB would look like and then trying to promote it to the marketplace. So we've also had a lot of support from the Institute of Fundraising and getting things moving as well.
You joined the FRSB just earlier this year. Tell me about your experience of establishing and running a self-regulation scheme.
Well, when I joined from the greyhound industry, and I was responsible for the regulation of greyhound racing in Britain. We had licensed greyhound racing and unlicensed greyhound racing, and just like we have those that are members of the FRSB and those that are not. But I think there the sort of analogy ends. But in greyhound racing, I was responsible for its governance. I was responsible for complaint handling for those that broke the rules of racing, and indeed administering it from a point of view of discipline that was often handed down to those people who broke the rules of our racing. So quite a lot of experience in that, and indeed within greyhound racing we had one significant media event that took place which changed the whole face of greyhound racing really forevermore, and as a result of that I had to set up a whole new regulatory body to govern and run greyhound racing, which I was instrumental in setting up to the end of the last year. So a fair bit of experience in self-regulation.
So this is the first time that self-regulation has come to the fundraising industry. The board has got until 2011 to demonstrate its effectiveness. If it can't do that, what would statutory regulation look like for the fundraising industry?
I think that statutory regulation, a lot of people have done a lot of scaremongering about it. I mean, statutory regulation I think could look really quite unpleasant. Rather than doing what we're trying to do here, which is about supporting best practice, about developing and sharing best practice amongst all charities, not just the big ones. The danger of statutory regulation is that it looks to catch out the bad boys and catch out the people who are breaking the rules, rather than actually helping empower and improve the all-round standards of what happens in fundraising. So I think despite the fact that it would be very expensive, despite the fact that I think it would be very cumbersome, it would probably be quite inflexible, and as a result a lot of administration burden would be placed upon the charities, which I just don't think would be good. You know, the purpose of the FRSB is that we are a regulator for the member charities, and we're here to help empower and improve wherever we can the work of the charities. And so sharing best practice, benchmarking with other charities is for us really key, and I don't think statutory regulation would necessarily do that. And one only has to look at the Charity Commission does its very best to be as light touch as it can, but it's a big organisation, and there are very strict rules about what we have to do for the Charity Commission work.
So this is the sector's one chance to avoid statutory regulation?
Well, I don't think it's last chance saloon by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that there's been a lot of effort and a lot of investment has gone into trying to set up the FRSB, and not from my own personal point of view, but I think for the sake of the whole of the sector, one hopes that this stab at self-regulation works, and I think if it doesn't, then the government will have to look at some alternative, and that could be statutory regulation, and I think statutory regulation is the worst possible scenario.
Recruiting enough charity members is often cited as one of the key indicators of success for the board, but what other criteria do you and the board have?
It's quite wide-ranging, Howard. We've got issues around making sure that member charities deal with complaints successfully. For those of you, those members or those people within the sector who are unaware of the complaint process, it's a very simple process. There's a 3-tier complaint system. Level 1 is where the charity maybe receives a complaint. It may be a database complaint, it could be something to do with maybe an inappropriate claim, and that is often 9 times out of 10, well, many more times than that, 99 times out of 100, those are dealt with by the charity. On the odd occasion where it's escalated, as we call it, it goes to level 2, and that's where we get involved. And we do that very much in a sort of a hands-off way in terms of helping guide both the complainant and the charity through the potential solution that might be on the table. And we seek to mediate as best we can to get an appropriate solution. And invariably, that resolves itself. But in the very rare exceptions, and there have only just been 2 of those in the time of the FRSP, it gets elevated to the 3rd level, where the board of the FRSP, which has got independent board members elected onto it from the public, they will sit and adjudicate on whether they feel that the charity has broken either the codes of conduct, the Institute Codes of Conduct, or the FRSP promise, or whether in fact the complainant has maybe made an inappropriate accusation about the charity. So there's a lot of weeding out that takes place. So one of the key measures is how charities deal with them, and we are very keen to help charities deal with their complaints successfully. Of course, the obvious metric would be simply the number of complaints. And because we're a membership organisation, we get quite a number of non-member complaints come filtering through to us, because we are seen as the organisation dealing with fundraising complaints. And that is more and more frequent. And for us, I think we need to take a stronger platform in complaining about or commenting upon those non-members where complaints work their way through to us. Because it's not fair on those who've sort of signed up to best practice and those who've said this is what we want to be a party to. It's not fair that they are potentially affected by non-members who are either breaking the codes or breaking the fundraising promise. So the level of complaints is pretty key. And the other thing where we I suppose look for our member charities to measure success is the amount and the appearance of our logo on charity websites. I would like to think that those listening to this will have seen the FRSP logo, see it behind me, or the Give with Confidence logo, both which have been designed. One is very much industry and sector based, which is the FRSP logo, Give with Confidence, and the other one which is our new Give with Confidence, which is a public facing website, and it's very much an accreditation badge, and our member charities should be using that on their website frequently and on all their literature.
Thank you. Tell us where we can find out more about the Fundraising Standards Board.
Well, thank you for the opportunity for the promo slot. You can find out on frsb.org.uk, or you can go to a website called Give with Confidence, all one word, .org.uk. And I'd be very keen for anybody listening to this quick podcast to give us some feedback on what we're doing and how we're doing it and how we can improve our work.
Alistair McLean, thank you very much.